Thank you, Ken, for inviting me along this afternoon. We've got quite a lot to discuss, haven't we? So we'll start off straight away with the man sitting next to you, your new vice chairman. Is there anything the two of you'd like to offer to your predecessor, Dennis?
Well, let me speak about Dennis first. Dennis has carried out an awful lot of work here at the club over many years, and even before he became a board member. And in my notes before I came out, I wrote down a few of them. He's still licensee for the club. He's done a lot of the hospitality work over the years. He looks after property and all the work we do there. He's on a wind down with the Loons Lottery, and he's also chaired our Station Park Experience, the letting arm for the park. He's done an awful lot of work, and we're extremely grateful. He's been very positive over the year. There's not many things that have happened here have not had his hand on it at some time. So as I say, he's winding down a few of them, and we'll work with him on that for sure. He's retired for health reasons. He said that in his own statement. But it's also it's been advised by his doctor to wind down a bit. It's nothing more sinister than that. It was just too much physical and too much mental activity, and I understand fully where he's coming from and support him with that. He did have a plan to go by the end at the end of this season, so it's advanced the thinking a wee bit. And of course we had to bring a new man in, Ross here, and maybe he will speak for himself now and say what his attributes are.
Well, first and foremost, I think start with Dennis as well. Before I got involved in the board, I used to see Dennis, the cheery face about the place, fantastic host when I used to take hospitality here. As my sponsor, it looked after as well. But when I joined the board, you then realise just how much work goes in by all the board of directors. But Dennis especially, I think he's up at Station Park almost on a daily basis with jobs and tasks to do, and all the rest of it, all as a volunteer, albeit we are directors. When I got the phone call, or we had a conversation face to face, Ken asked me, told me initially about Dennis intending standing down, and would he be interested in joining as vice, which was. I did say to Ken, please give me a couple of days to think about it, but truth be told, you know, the minute you asked me, I kind of knew what my answer would be. So it certainly was a privilege to be asked, and hopefully I can assist Ken as much as possible. Anybody that knows me knows I'm absolutely football daft, been involved in football as long as I can remember. I'll bring hopefully a lot of that kind of senior football experience to assist Ken with, and hopefully I've got other attributes that can add value to Ken's position as chairman.
Excellent, thanks Rossi. I'm sure you will. You've got a long history in business involvement, which is important these days because we are running a business here as well. Maybe I could just touch on a wee bit more of the structure, because we've changed it a wee bit over the last few months. The board is now 10 people, it was 11-10. We intend to run with that for a little while. We want to look at succession planning because there's a range of ages in there, and I'm now getting on to the top end of that as well. So we've got to look at succession, we've got to look at the skill set, we've got to look at the correct number, but it won't change overnight. We'll go forward, and it'll take a little time, and we will get to there. But we have also put in place a management committee, or sub-directors if you wish to call them, associate directors, and that's chaired by Fiona Cameron, and there's also Paul Stephen and David Adam in there, and they're looking at projects, looking at funding, looking at structure of what we're looking at, or how we run the place, and that's all extremely important, and they've been very positive in their meetings so far. So again, I'm looking for more to come out of that, and that will help the board run its and go forward and function as well. Below that again, if you like, there's a fundraising committee of the girls in there, and that came out of the ladies' dinner. They're now going forward to look at a lot of other functions and how we can raise cash. This cash being so important, I freely admit to that. So we have Fiona Cameron again chairing that, and we've got Jackie Williamson, Leslie Dees and Fiona Smith in there. So again, very hopeful that will generate more for us, which goes into the budget and keeps our treasurer happy at the end of the day. And of course not forgetting a supporters club, they're very much important in there, but again they can't do everything. So we've layered it if you like, and I like to think as we go forward through this year we can see return out of that and see the budget's moving on. It's a business after all, said already, we've got to look at income. The more we can generate and look after the structure here, then the more we can hopefully then give to the manager to put players on the park. If we overspend, we run into debt, the bank don't like it, we don't like it, we worry at that point. So again, we've got to keep that under firm control. It's a working board, as Ross touched on there. they do all bring different attributes. We try to be professional in everything we do, and it's not always good news as we've seen over the last few weeks, but we'll go with it. But they say the best way to run a business is to surround yourself with good people, and we have that there, there's no doubt about it. Some very strong guys in key positions, and Alistair remains on the board as well, bringing his expertise. We've got a very strong secretary in Dave McGregor, a very strong accountant running the financial side. Now Ross has come in with all his attributes as well, so I'm surrounding myself with good people, expecting great things, but that gives an idea of the structure, where we're going and where we want to take this to, which maybe helps explain it a bit more.
And when you, when Dennis first came and said that he's sort of having to wind down his involvement, how did you go about, electing a new person? Was it just a straight phone call to Ross? Was he the obvious choice? Or?
Well, to me it was the obvious choice, just his background between business and football. He made perfect sense there. I was hoping I wouldn't have to persuade him too hard. But again, he fits the age profile as well, because we need to keep looking at age of board to make sure we've got continuity there. No, it wasn't a long search, and I was delighted when he said yes. Because again, I think it's important that we keep moving forward. Now, who knows how long we'll be in these positions, because we are just custodians for a while, and who knows what's round the corner. But yeah, I think it's an exciting time going forward, and I'm just delighted Ross is part of the group taking us there.
And I suppose you've already touched on this, Ross, but more directed to you. What are you looking to bring to this position?
To be honest with you, first and foremost, given yesterday's proceedings, we have an interim manager. We're looking for a permanent full-time person to fill that position. Applications are open, so that is without a shadow of a doubt our priority over the next 2 or 3 weeks. Applications within the first 24 hours are already flooding in, which is very, very healthy. I've heard many people from previous managers to previous chairmen say, this is as good a part-time club as there is in Scottish football, and I think that shows with how much interest there's been in the vacant position within the first 24 hours. So that is certainly a priority over the next 2 to 3 weeks, and we'll work hard going through the applications, hopefully narrow it down to 4, 5, 6 people, bring them in for interview, and we'll just have to ensure that we get the right person going forward.
So moving slightly on, so it's been a rocky start to for the beginning of your chairmanship, Ken, with not as good a pre-season we had hoped, and of course it's poor start to the season. Is there anything you'd like to sort of add just in that pre-bit before the season actually started?
Sure, well, and it also relates into why we've felt it correct to change the manager at this point, but I've been 3 months in the chair now. It's been enjoyable, it's been challenging, it's been extremely interesting. I've also said I've enjoyed working with Gary. He's a good person one-to-one, and maybe outside people are not quite seeing the true person. So again, there was a learning curve for me, first time into this role. So I have enjoyed it. I worked with a man who was dedicated and extremely hard working, and there was no lack of emotion from him, despite again which appears to be seen at the side of the park. I suppose in a lot of ways, if you like, he's not a Dick Campbell. Dick Campbell's very outgoing, different type of guy. Gary's more the inside man, if you like. But anyway, it's a results game at the end of the day, and we had a meeting with Gary there yesterday, seems longer ago, and it was a difficult, very, very difficult meeting. It's one I did not enjoy in any way. I still think it was the right thing we've done. I think we've moved on. I've got to say though, it was not a spur of the moment decision. We've been monitoring the position for some time. We find ourselves in a position that's 2 managers we've dispensed with, it's a nice way to put it, in 2 years. It's not a position we want to be in. We don't want to be a hire and fire club. We want to have a long-term relationship and build on that. But I still think we have made right decisions when we removed Dick. Things weren't working too well. The way forward wasn't clear. We appointed Gary, having done due diligence. His track record was good, so again it appeared to be appropriate. Early stages showed we were going well, but latterly things have gone back. And I think again we've given it a chance, and unfortunately we had to part company this week. we feel we've made the correct decisions at the time as best we could in the information. If you let me go into some of the facts and figures, that last season we started off 10 wins in a row. It was a club record, and that was all under Gary's guidance. And right up until we played Arbroath in February, things were going extremely well, and we had almost 2 hands in the championship. Unfortunately, then things major turn. We played the final 13 games and only won 2 of them. And that really, we threw away the title. It wasn't Arbroath won it, we threw it away, or we threw it at them, if you like. Then, lo and behold, we won the promotion playoffs. Now, how Gary turned them and achieved that is quite remarkable, considering we'd had the championship thrown away or taken from us at the very last minute. So that was an amazing achievement in itself. And if you look at his target was to get promotion. He achieved that. So he achieved a club record and he got his target of promotion in the 1 year. And you've got to say that is good. You can't sack a manager on the back of that, as many were crying for. So we go into this year. We start with a pretty new squad. There was massive change through the summer. It does take time for them to gel, and that was shown a bit in the performances and the results. But we've gone, 11 games and we've only won 1. The wish, I suppose, was to give it the first quarter, give it a little bit longer, see how we were going, review it. We did see signs of improvement and promise at the Alloway game. Thought that's good, we'll build on that. But the game on Saturday against Arbroath was pretty bad, I've got to say. It just gave us that final push and said we've got to make a change now, and that was it. But it wasn't knee-jerk. It wasn't because fans were shouting to get them away. It wasn't because it happened to be Arbroath that beat us. It was the run through. It was the period there, and whether we had a long-term future plan in place, and we just didn't think that was the case. So that gives the run through as to where we came to with the decision to move manager. With a hard heart, or a heavy heart I should say, we made the decision. I've got to say it's not the type of meeting I enjoyed whatsoever, so it was 1-to-1. I do like Gary as a guy. I felt I got on well with him, but we're a results business. If we don't win, we've got to make a decision and protect the future of the club.
And another sort of another aspect you touched on slightly was we did have a lot of players, a lot of very key players who did leave. Do you think that maybe affected the team morale as well, which probably didn't help things, or?
Well, it certainly caused an almighty change, had to find a new team and make them gel quickly. So it didn't help, that's for sure. They all left for different reasons. Some were going full time, emigrating, better opportunity or better pay structure somewhere else. Maybe they didn't like how things were happening here. There's loads of reasons. Watching Tom O'Brien there on Saturday, I would love him to still be playing for us because he's a quality player at the back. And maybe if he was still here, all results would be different. Who knows? Who knows? That's clever after the event, really. But it doesn't help if you're going through major change. And on top of that, I'd like to see longer term planning. I'd like to see a nucleus of a team where we're rolling 2 years, if you like. Because it's a massive job each close season to start to re-sign people and find the right blend. And I know Ross has touched on this a while as well. That's love to see you involved in that side and helping us get the forward planning in. Maybe you want to mention under 20s and where you're taking that.
I think that is key. Just again touching on the first year of what's happened and where players have gone in the summer. I think what we're keen to do going forward as a board, players, supporters and all the rest of it is do exactly that, look forward. Difficult as it has been the last few weeks and all the rest of it, it gives opportunity going forward. There'll certainly be new people, albeit interim in the dugout. Hopefully that gives a bit of freshness. We're working very, very hard behind the scenes to hopefully have 1 or 2 new faces on the playing squad as well. If not for this Saturday, definitely for next Saturday. So there's an awful lot of work happening at the moment to try and get us out of this little rut. Under 20s as well. We had a discussion in the summer, possibly not enough of them coming through into the first team over the last 12 to 18 months. So we've had a real recruitment drive between myself and under 20s manager Barry, assisted by Artie and Eddie Gray. And that's looking quite exciting as well. We've got a league game, first home league game tonight against Wraith Rovers, full-time club, which will be a real challenge. But what we've decided to do is go with a younger group, a lot of 16, 17-year-olds, and hopefully work with them over the next 2 to 3 years, hopefully turn them into a team rather than just pick away at 19-year-olds, you take them for a season and they're away and you're kind of trying to build something. Hopefully this gives us the opportunity over the next 2 or 3 years to really build, because in an ideal world I would love to see, you know, homegrown players out in that first team, and not just for a season or two, you know, the next Martin Fotheringham or people of that ilk, you know, that are serving that club for the next 7, 8, 9, 10 years and so on and so forth. And who knows, you know, we might get a wee gem there that is worth a lot of money and we can sell them on for a 40, 50, £100,000 or whatever, because it does happen and there is talent there. So hopefully with the right application, dedication from these young guys, they've certainly got the ability, so that's kind of quite exciting as well.
And I suppose still sort of focusing on the recruitment, one player we did bring in was Rodrigo Nantelmo, but that's 1 month later he's no longer with the club. Have you got any more details as reasons for that?
Yeah, the important thing here is the players, the recruitment, the selection, how they form up in the park is entirely the manager or the management team. Gary saw something in the man. Yeah, there's undoubtedly a talent in there, but he wanted a big centre half who was a stopper, who would win everything in the air, and maybe a Darren Dodds, if you like, somebody who would hold the defence without doing anything too clever. But he seemed more to be the kind of player that he wanted the ball on the ground. Maybe it's a continental way of playing as opposed to what we needed here. Now, Gary saw something, he wanted to recruit him, and Dave McGregor did a ton of paperwork getting international clearance to get him through, and we got him on board. He just didn't give us what we wanted, and Gary saw that, put his hand up and decided, look, not fair for him or us to hold him here, so he's moved on. Yeah, there was no fallout, no animosity. It did take a long time to get the paperwork sorted out, and he was around the park for a while, which probably confused people. But once we got that, he was given a wee run in the team, but I think the decision was Gary's decision, not ours, but he made his mind up that it wasn't the man that he thought he would be. Realistic decision to end.
Now, sort of, and this is a big topic you wanted to talk about, is, of course, the modern game. Social media plays such a huge part,
Yeah.
but also, while it can have positives, sharing and encouragement, it can also be very much the opposite, and you'd like to add something about that?
Yeah, it's been a trying experience in some ways, but I'm not a big user of social media, but I do look at it, I do watch it, and I do pick bits from it, and I see a positive and I see a negative to it. I'll give the positive first and foremost. That I was reading some of the notes following the Alloy game the other day, and I hadn't been aware at the time, but David Coxey had been subject to verbal abuse regarding mental health issues, which is totally unacceptable. And I wouldn't have picked it up if I didn't read it under notes. I think actually Stuart Malcolm put a note on, a supported note, which fair credit to him for doing so. And when I became aware of this, and I thought, well, we've really got to do something to protect our player here, and got to do something to support him. So I phoned Mike Mulroney at Allen, the chairman there, and he was exactly the same mind as myself, because Coxey had played there at one time, he knew his issues, and so he was, well, as I think they used the phrase, 4 square behind him as well. Found this thing was just totally unacceptable, and he's making inquiries to try and find out who made the comments. Now, it did have an effect on the game. Coxey wasn't the same player in the second half as the first half, and I have every sympathy for him, it's not easy. But social media alerted us to that problem, and we tried our best to move it forward, and there was lots of notes in our programme at the weekend about it. There is, however, a downside to social media, and there's a number of people for some reason want to be extremely vitriolic, very negative and very personal in some of the comments. And I've seen our previous chairman, Alistair Donald, getting taken to task in a very underhand manner, to my mind, that there's no need for this at all, because it's not adding the slightest bit of value. Alistair has done a tremendous job for the club here, and I think we need to give him a chance here. Don't bring him into criticism that's not warranted. It won't get responded to. It's not been constructive in any way. And I would stress at the end of the day, any decisions we make are board decisions, they're not individuals' decisions. Alistair is not the man that has done A, B, C, D and taken it down a road. We've all agreed that that's the right way to do it. So I'm making a plea. Please be careful on social media. Please okay, constructive criticism is wonderful, all for that, because everybody's got a viewpoint. But please, let's keep the personal bits away to one side and let's move forward together in this.
Anything you'd like to add to that, Ross?
I just think I would like to reiterate what the chairman says. The work that goes in, again, directors, stroke volunteers here that are prepared to put their hand in their pocket to finance certain things at the club. So when it's directed, when this kind of verbal abuse is directed towards us, you sometimes look at each other and think, what's the point? We're working hard here. We're all supporters of the club as well. We're doing the best we very can. And Gary as well, yes, sitting at the bottom of the league, but some of the abuse he received, not just Saturday but in previous weeks, was very, very disappointing. I know Gary personally as well, I know all his family personally as well, and when you hear that abuse from his wife and his mum and his dad and his kids are sitting in the stand, I think it's very, very underhand. Exactly the same as the chairman says, you know, social media, we sometimes get criticised because we don't put certain things on social media, scores and all the rest of it. But as soon as that happens, we just open ourselves to a barrage of abuse, and I think that's why there's been a bit of resistance a lot of the time. We'd love to communicate with the supporters, but a lot of this kind of abuse is the reason that we don't do it. But going forward, if it was managed, if it was controlled and all the rest of it, we would love to interact with the supporters a lot more through social media. But I'm sure anybody that's been on it will understand the reasons.
And I suppose we'll move on now to the yesterday's news, and you've mentioned it sort of in passing that, you know, Gary's job was under consideration for the while because of recent results. Was Arbroath the final nail in the coffin? Was it the 5-0 that was the actual nail in the coffin, or would he probably have made the same decision even if it had been 1-0 defeat or something?
Well, we might not have made the decision quite so quick, I suppose. If it's more performance than result, we just collectively found their both performance rather poor. For whatever reason, it didn't work. If we'd had a good performance and lost 2-1 or 3-2, well, you still would think there's a build-up in the Alloa game. We're going forward, progressing, but we just felt we'd gone totally backwards, and that the period of severe review, if you like, just brought a decision earlier. Always going to look at it at the end of the month or the end of the first quarter and see where we were. But we have a number of 6-pointer games coming up, and we just felt the right decision was now. As I said earlier, it wasn't because fans were chasing us through social media, and it wasn't because it happened to be Arbroath we played. It just was losing in the manner we lost in. It just seemed to not have an awful lot of heart in the team, and just, I'm not sure if Gary was in a position then to change it. He's maybe taken himself into a corner, and a fresh pair of eyes coming in, make a change, then we go forward. So we just, again, it's a collective decision on the board. We didn't knee-jerk it. We decided now's the time, we've got to move. Maybe Dave McGregor being away in Canada just now has been quite a good thing. He's been away from this at the moment. However, he has been in contact, so I can't say it's a 9-1 thing by any means. But and he deserves his holiday for sure. But yeah, but we're now looking forward. We've drawn a veil over that part. We've got Stuart and Gary, Stuart and Barry, sorry, are looking after the team, and I think there's a buzz already. They have excellent reputation as coaches. I'm going to see the first team squad tonight. Ross is going to speak to the under-20s and just explain where we're at, and then hopefully we can get buy-in, and I'm looking forward to Saturday already. Let's get a result, because I just still think one result, there's a quality of players in the squad there. I think we can move on.
And how did the players themselves react, and also did they hear the news before everyone else did, or?
No, well, tonight's really me going down to give the feedback. It was yesterday we met with Gary, and not going to speak to anybody before that. Although the press were in contact before that, there was no release of anything at all. So tonight is the first chance to be with the players and talk it through. And I understand a lot of the players are Gary's men. They have followed him club to club, and they may be totally unhappy with the decision we've made, but others might think, yes, this is good. It's an individual thing. But my request to them is, let's go forward. Let's give this a chance. We're capable of getting back up that league. Gary still believes in these guys. That was one of his comments later on. He said, these guys can do it. So my call is to them, let's do it.
And so as we go to search for the next gaffer, what are the things you're looking for in a new manager? What are these applicants hopefully going to bring?
Go on, Ross, you start this one off.
I'm thinking Champions League football within 6 seasons.
Yeah,
I reckon.
Fair target. What was the 100,000 selling on thing as well? That was good.
You've got to aim high. Well, first and foremost, I think the predicament we're in, we're sitting bottom of the league. What we'd like, we've not got a blueprint of the person that we like, but as I say, we're very, very encouraged so far with the applications that have come in within 24 hours, from Scotland internationals to young up-and-coming managers and all the rest of it, some in jobs, some not in jobs. But as I say, we'll kind of collate that. We would love one or two of the management team to hopefully have Forfar connections. We want a wee bit of a local element in there as well, so there's good local available players. We'll have touch points there. We're all very, myself and Barry and Sellers and others, we've got good touch points with Aberdeen under-20s, Dundee United, St Johnstone, Dundee and all the rest of it. You know, these guys that are maybe not quite going to make it at that level, that's the sort of guys, young up and coming, hungry, committed, want to make their way in the footballing world. That's the sort of players that we're hoping to attract. But manager wise, we'll see what comes in, and we'll generally have a look. I'm expecting 40, 50, 60 applications within the next week or two, and we'll just kind of filter through them. The manager will be given his budget, be given his remit of what's expected, and it'll certainly not be, let's try and avoid relegation. It's still early enough in the season. I think we're 6 points off playoffs, or there or thereabouts. You know, it's not too far away. I'm convinced Braith Rovers and Ayr United will comfortably be 1 and 2 in that league this season. The next 8 teams, there's nothing between them. And I think if we choose the correct manager, he works with the players for a period of time, he gets them organised, he gets fit, he maybe adds 1 or 2 faces, I'm pretty confident we can go on a wee winning run, get a bit of momentum and start looking up the way rather than kind of worried about that relegation spot.
The one thing I've certainly noticed, and again, in 3 months I've been working closely with the manager, contacts are just so important in football. Whether you can pick the phone up to somebody, you know a player, you can check somebody out, and that is a really important issue for whoever important talent, if you like, whoever comes in next. They've got to know the Scottish market, so they can work in it and they can identify these nuggets and bring them in. And we've given full clearance, full remit to our temporary team to move on. If they can find somebody they think's needed in the team, fine, we'll do our best to support it. We need to make the books balance, obviously, but if there's somebody out there, say, to replace our centre half who's gone away, well, fine. If they think it's right, we will let them do it. It's not just a holding operation to buy time. It's let's see what we can do in the next while. As I said earlier, there's 3 6-pointers coming up. They're all winnable. If we win the next 3 games, then a lot of this pressure lifts, and I think we're looking at a different challenge, a different outcome for this year altogether.
Yeah. Just need a wee bit of freshness, as the chairman mentioned earlier on. We've got a good group of players. It's full of very good professionals. Simon Menson, great career from the Jimmy Listers, the Mark Millers, the Patrick Craig, you know, the Coxes, the Jamie Baines. You know, there's a lot of very, very good professionals there at Forfar Football Club, and hopefully just that wee bit of freshness will just give the club a wee lift. That's certainly what we're hoping for, and hence the reason of the decision over the last 24 hours.
And when the new manager comes in, is he going to have be able to make wholesale changes to his coaching staff and development staff, or is he going to be more focused on just the assistant manager and himself?
Can I just answer this? I think what's key going forward as well, it's not just a new manager we're looking for, it's a new management team. So the way the manager sells himself and who's bringing in terms of contacts, connections, possibly different skill set. So it's not just a manager, it's a management team of three or four that we're kind of looking for to bring the club forward.
And when can we expect to hear the announcement of the new person, the new gaffer?
Well, we're not going to rush at this just for the sake of filling the job. We want to take our time, we want to get this right, and that's a much used phrase over the years, but we have 2 games coming up, 2 Saturdays, then there's a break with the cup games being on, and I would like to think by then we've got our man, subject to be able to come to us as well. Of course, release conditions may apply, but no, It gives Stuart and Barry a chance over 2 games to show what they can do as well, but we don't really want to be on much longer than that. However, we haven't looked at the applications yet. They're sitting in my inbox at the moment. We'll get today out of the way, then we'll sit down and we'll have a good look at these, and we'll have our subcommittee drawn up, and we'll go about it. We do everything else professionally. We'll do that the same way. We'll do our due diligence on the guys that are there, and we'll sound out the contacts that we have, and we'll make that appointment when the time's right.
I think, to be realistic, the supporters will be asking the questions. I think it's fair to say Stuart Balmer and Barry will take it this Saturday and next Saturday, and as the chairman says, we've then got a 2-week break. We'll let the applications come in over the next 2 weeks, and within that 2-week break we'll be sitting down, we'll be interviewing, so hopefully at the end of that 2-week break we'll have a permanent manager in place. I'm pretty confident of that.
Well, that's all the questions I have prepared. Is there anything yourselves would like to add?
Well, I just again confirm. I think we're at a turning point at the moment. I think we've turned the page over. Let's move forward. And I just like to think that there's a good buzz starting to build again. The place, when you get defeats and heavy defeats and regular defeats, it does get a bit soul destroying, because we all take them heavily, if you like. We're all supporters, but I think there's a chance. We've got 2 coaches having a go here who have an excellent reputation. They're absolutely buzzing to get on with it. As soon as we spoke to them, they were up for it. So let's see what we can do, and let's get the heads up for Saturday. Methal's maybe not the most exciting place in the world, but it doesn't have to give us an opportunity to get the buzz going and get the 3 points on. And I think we can lift this quite. I've got confidence in the team and the guys to make this work, and that's what I'll be saying to them tonight. Come on, show you can do it.
Totally agree, very winnable games. As the chairman mentioned, the next 3 games, it's all against teams at our level. Great opportunity for Barry and Stuart, and we'd love for the whole club just to galvanise, get the supporters behind us and get that feel-good factor going again, get smiles on faces round about the clubs, from the players to the coaches, supporters and the board of directors as well. And hopefully over the next 2-3 weeks and 6, 7, 8 months, we'll be doing that, and come next May we'll be in a far better, healthier position than we're in at the moment, but we're certainly confident of that.
Yeah, certainly enjoyed the Peterhead game at the end of last year. Days like that are good, and I really enjoyed the first league match against Airdrie. There was a great buzz. We just need to get back to that. I'm not saying win every playoff, but let's start winning the league games. It's there to be done. I'm sure we can do it.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and Ross, all the best with your new position, and Ken, hope the championship gets slightly easier for you now.
Thanks, George.
Thanks, George.